August of 2012, I think we officially incorporated. We have 8 programs now. Data Science DC, which is one of the original ones. Women's Data Science DC. We've got a room of visualizers. They need a logo. Just saying. All volunteer-driven organization. Of course, Data Innovation DC, Data Education, Data Viz, and actually Amy. You're in the room somewhere. Amy helped me 2.5, 3 years ago make that Data Viz logo. So thank you very much, Amy. And
Thank you.
no, I'm not saying that it's a women's one. I'm just, that wasn't a subtle hint.
Yes.
Although that would have been a good way to do it. And then statistical processing DC. Both Mark and Harlan are here. There's Mark. Statistical processing programming. Statistical programming. Hey, I'm on the fly here. All right. Give me a break. Data wranglers and digital nomads. And in general, you're at a speaking event. We have little mini hacks all the times and workshops, and we've been actually had a private conference for the Inter-American Development Bank earlier this month, which was very exciting. So yeah, we do private conferences now. If you guys are interested in one, please contact us. But in general, there's lots of ways to build a relationship with us. You can be a speaker, you can teach a class, organize events, be a sponsor, help build stuff, web apps, blog about things, cross promotions, and other partnership opportunities. So, if you're interested, you can tweet at Data Community DC, and or just come talk to me. And so I'm actually excited about this one. We put together a venues thing, and let's see if I can do this. There it is. So I put together this little toy where this, okay, it just looks like a Google map, except who here organizes events? So we got a couple back there. So have you ever had trouble finding a venue?
Yes.
The answer is yes. It's a rhetorical question. I'm lucky enough to have Casey and Chief here. These guys have been great. But
I just work here.
Come bug Casey and start hitting him up for money. But if you interact, this is pulling directly from our little database. It's a Google sheet. And you got to make it a nice interactive way for other people to get involved, right? And but it says some information about each one of the spaces. So I don't know if you can see that, but it says what the seating capacity is, whether or not they allow for food, whether or not they may sponsor. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. There's security, whether or not they provide Wi-Fi, if there's like an alternate space for networking and all that sort of thing. And of course, kind of prompts you to, hey, would you like to sponsor us? So that's that little toy. And all you have to do is go to venues.datacommunitydc.org. And then the other little toy that I've been putting together is trying to predict attendance, which I used today. Some people here got booted to some people that are theoretically not here got booted to the wait list, and everybody else was able to stay. I've been experimenting a little bit. Last time I had like 350 RSVPs and then booted a bunch of people. This time I created a wait list and booted a few people. Looks like the prediction thing is working, but the whole idea is it's engagement based. You find out who the influencers are. You find out what their attendance rate has been and whether or not they're engaging in conversations with the community in general, and that determines kind of whether or not you make the cut. So that's you can find the details of that at Data Community DC on GitHub. And I made the social network because we have a way of recognizing whether or not people are connected.
This is in no way sponsored by the NSA.
But we do this stuff at the Brunch and Hacks. So Digital Nomads, formerly DC Night Owls, we have these things every first and third Saturday of the month. And you can find it at DC Night Owls under the meetup. So if you're interested in participating in something like this, come on by. And if you have something that's really cool that you've done and you'd like to be part of the organization, come teach it, share it, let's get involved. And
actually, real quick, I actually met Shay, the speaker, at a Night Owls event, and that's how this whole thing got started tonight. So it's really productive.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Turn it over to Anthony.
Thank you. How many people here love data? How many people here love money? How many people here love making money off data? Well, thank you all for coming out tonight. This event really would not have been possible without the generous sponsorship of Chief. Scott, Casey, thank you so much for the food.
Again, I just work here.
But beyond Chief, this event was also put on by Deep Learning Analytics. How many people are interested in learning more about data, getting real macro level and micro level insight into data? Deep Learning Analytics is your friend. Being able to go to their classes, being able to learn and look more into data analytics is important, and Deep Learning Analytics provides just that. Booz Allen Hamilton is also one of our sponsors. Booz Allen Hamilton has over 100 years of providing consulting service to the military, federal government, and private sector. If you are a data scientist looking to get into the data science field, a graduate looking to develop your data science skills, look into career opportunities with Booz Allen. You won't regret it. AOL is also one of our sponsors tonight. They are one of America's largest online marketing and web analytics platforms. And when you are ready to show your own data science project, just like Sean did tonight, AOL will be there for you. And also statistics.com. For everyone who attends tonight, there is a 15% discount off cutting-edge statistics courses offered by statistics.com. If you use that code DC2 at that link below, and we will provide the slides later, you can get 15% off your classes. Thank you. Once again, let's give a round of applause to Chief.
Oh, you're too kind.
And that's your
Hello, I'm Casey. I'm just a developer that likes meeting people, so I help with these. This is Chief. Welcome. This is your first time at Chief tonight. Thank you so much for coming. We have this great new location. We host events like this all the time. I've already told two organizers tonight, the answer was not no, if they wanted to organize something. So if you're an organizer and know somebody that's looking for a space, come ask me or one of their chiefers here, and we'll see if we can get you lined up. We have a permanent meetup on the first Tuesday. That's the API user group. A lot of people out of 18F and a lot of other federal agencies come to that one to talk about APIs, which is very data relevant. And then the third Tuesdays, we also have the WordPress meetup. We're perpetually hiring, and we will be for the foreseeable future, all types of positions, including UXers and project managers, developers. That's at agencychief.com/careers. Two quick things of housekeeping. The bathrooms are where you came in at the elevators. There's a men's and a women's there. And I'll grab some more chairs in the back. I forgot about that. Sorry. Oh, looks like you guys are good. Oh, I'll grab some more. If you find yourself in the back and talking, the voice carries very loudly, and we can hear everything that you're saying. Just as a politeness to everybody else, and we don't really want to hear what you're talking about. I'll come yell at you politely. Just a forewarning. Thank you so much.
Any other announcements? Anybody? Here we go.
Hi, so if you like the influencers chart that you just saw in the beginning, Business Intelligence Meetup is hosting a meetup about graph database, and we are giving out $100 of credits for hosting your graph database on the cloud. So come join us next Thursday and try out some graph database.
Anybody else?
Okay. I think this is reasonable. Have a team of people that I'm building. I'm building a design team to do prediction work and data viz for it. So using game theory, predicting geopolitical events, things like that. So if anyone does data viz, visual designer, come talk to me.
Hey, next Thursday, we're gonna have a meetup here called Data Plus Women, and that'll be looking at, we'll have some conversations about women in the data field. And let me know if you're interested in attending. It's also open to men. It's open to men and women and anyone else who's interested in talking about women in the data field.
It is always a little intimidating when you see the women's team, but they're always very kind, very open. So any other announcements?
Hi, I'm Mark Weissman. I'm one of the co-founders of Data Community DC, so welcome to all and thanks for coming to our events. I also co-organize Statistical Programming DC, as Sean said. We're going to have a meetup in, I believe, it's not announced yet, but February 17th. Our group deals with anything that's open source statistical programming, so R, Python, Julia, MATLAB, Excel sometimes. That always gets a chuckle. So we're gonna have lightning talks. So we have about 7 or 8 talks already lined up. So these are short, about 8 to 10 minute talks, and we have a myriad of topics. A lot of them are R related. I think there's 1 or 2 Python ones. So just check out the schedule. I'll probably announce the event soon. I am trying to finalize the location. So Casey. Hint. And that's it. So, and one other thing, I also work at Booz Allen Hamilton, and Booz is always looking for folks. So come talk to me if you're interested in exploring opportunities at Booz. Thanks.
Hi everybody, I'm Yosef. If there are any foodies in the house and / data visualizers, I'm working on a pretty cool project where we're actually trying to map and also do some data prediction. So, and if you have any programming skills and any interest in putting any of that together, please come and see me.
Yuri.
Hi, I'm Mohana, and I work at the Urban Institute, and we are hiring a director of design and visuals. We have a small team of designers and developers, myself included, and we do a huge amount of data viz as well as some traditional design work would be involved in the position. If any of you are experienced designers who do a lot of data viz and love it, can talk to me. And completely unrelatedly, I'm working on a project with DataKind DC, who I think is sort of a partner of Data Community or something. Yeah. But we're working on a project in partnership with the American Red Cross. We're building a map tool for them. So if any of you want some more data viz experience, especially any Mapbox users, we're using Mapbox to build the tool. Check out the DataKind DC meetup page.
Anybody else? Okay. So the next event we're actually working with, I think it's Graphica is the name of the company. So the next event is breaking down Super Tuesday. Everybody know what Super Tuesday is? It's all part of the primaries. After they have the initial primaries at Iowa and New Hampshire, I think there's maybe one other one, and then there's a whole series of states that vote on the candidates, and we're going to be visualizing that. We were actually in touch with the the CTO of the Hillary campaign from 2008, so I'm pretty excited about it. And I did want to mention, before I do that, everybody see this when you guys are clicking the buttons when you're coming in? This is the other project that I didn't mention when I came in. So looks like most people occasionally get paid for data viz. Some people do it just for fun, about the same amount as some freelancers, and otherwise it's your job title. So it's interesting. Not sure what to make of that yet, but this is the power of the buttons. We actually have, you remember those Staple Easy buttons that we did a few years ago? We're actually 3D printing some prototypes, so that way we can put that little Bluetooth thing inside of something that goes click, which is much more fun for whatever reason. And all that goes online, and then there'll be opportunities for you to put whatever you want, ask whatever questions you want at the top there, and put whatever kind of message that you want to convey to everybody else. So this is another thing the data community is putting together. Was anybody here for Catherine Madden back in December?
Yeah.
Okay. Woo! So everybody have index cards? More or less. So what we'll be doing, if everybody remembers, is we will be, her whole thing was visual thinking and storytelling. And she introduced this incredible idea. You try to tell the story of the presentation that it's going to give on the back of that index card. And whoever has the best presentation, the best summary of it, you get t-shirts. So it's a fun little way of staying engaged and seeing what different people get out of it. In order to do that, of course, you need to take a picture of it and tweet with the hashtag DataVC. So if we just go to the next one, of course, there's already beer back there, as everybody I'm sure found out. And without further ado, I want to introduce Shay Anderson. Again, we met at Night Owls, and he just came by. Casey found him, introduced him to me. He told me about his background. And as soon as he talked about how much he likes to use data visualization to communicate, and that he did it for a job, and that he was interested in using it to communicate projects and increase the sales of those projects and effectively monetize the projects that he was working on, it was no problem. We only had to meet once or twice and put together the presentation. So put your hands together for Shay Anderson.
Testing 1, 2. All right, great. So we got a presentation queued up too? Perfect. Evening, everybody. My name is Shay Anderson. I will be your guest entertainment for the next hour. I've never quite presented in an airplane before. But, I will try to keep this fun and energetic and entertaining. So just want to say thank you once again to everybody we've already said thank you to. And just to step in a little bit, if you can just click on in.
I think you have to use the mouse on the arrow there.
All right. Barring technical difficulties, we are starting at the back of the presentation.
Use the scroll. Use the scroll. The blue line. The blue. Go to the bottom.
Go to the line.
No, down the bottom of the scroll.
Look at that.
See, that's proof that I was actually paying attention. He thought that I didn't look at his presentation. Just said nice things. I was actually reviewing.
All right. So now you all know the secrets of my Zen I'm about to tell you on using data visualization. What I will tell you is that I'm giving you the free presentation. If you really want the secrets, write your email address down on a $100 bill, slip it to me later. I'll be more than happy to tell you how to make money in data visualization. This conversation comes out of the fact that I know as data visualizers, or people who aspire to be data visualizers, we come from many different aspects and different backgrounds. I myself work in corporate America in a management consulting firm, along with my colleague from Booz Allen Hamilton. The rap battle will be afterwards. There are people who are freelancers who I have to say, I've never had to fight for my supper. But I respect those people that have done that. And then there's people who have picked up the skills along the way. And so I was trying to come up with one conversation I could hopefully kind of spread out to everybody and try to talk about some of my concepts and ideas that have helped me in my personal career. And so monetizing data visualizations, I may not necessarily be telling you how to turn your data visualization into money, but rather how to increase the value, how to get people to see you as being beneficial to the team and to the project at hand. So I can get the next slide. How about the next one after that? My bio, go ahead. So real quick about myself, grew up in Olympia, Washington, the other Washington. Love to travel. This is my wife. Hi, honey. She's gonna watch it later and she'll be embarrassed that I singled her out. Got a couple of dogs. I love to cook. I will use cooking analogies through this because I don't talk a lot of techno speak if I can help it. Information, if you saw my bio online, I spent 15 years in the Army National Guard. I joined when I was 17 years old. I worked as an uncommissioned officer in field artillery, did one tour in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. And came back, decided what I wanted to do with my life was get into something else. I've been working in several fields. I worked in Washington State Military Department, Safeco Insurance. If anyone ever heard of that, I worked at Safeco as a mutual fund accountant, worked my way up to a business analyst. Ended up, while living in Hawaii, working as a data analyst, financial analyst, came to DC, worked at Department of Transportation, Office of the CIO as a contractor in doing a functional specialist. Finally ended up at PricewaterhouseCoopers. It's a Big Four accounting firm. Nobody realizes we do more than just accounting. I work in the Forensic Technology Solutions Group, Investigative Analytics. We are the people that get called when bad things happen to unsecured networks. Systems get hacked and penetrated, all sorts of nasty, nasty things, and we get called for responses. We also end up going out and helping in response to the recent Ebola crisis. We sent a team out within forensics to go help make sure that that money got to the people that it was supposed to and wasn't being embezzled or laundered or spent erroneously. If I can get the next slide. So disclaimer really quick. This presentation is my personal opinions and do not reflect those of PricewaterhouseCoopers, and does not reflect those of the clients of PricewaterhouseCoopers. So any bad jokes I state are mine and mine alone. With that, the other disclaimer I will say is I will just default that your Kung Fu is stronger than my Kung Fu. And what I mean by that is I'm sure there are better designers and developers and programmers and data scientists out in the audience than I am. So just please go easy on me. Just please trust me that I know my little slice of the pie, the field, and I guarantee you that you know yours. And so go easy on me in tweets or messages later. Next, click the profession. So before I get into some of the ideas about what I'm talking about this evening, I really want to just take a moment for some people who maybe don't know the history of the field of information visualization and the monetization of information visualization. So I can get the next slide. There's what I would call the first generation. People don't know, there's Edward Tufte. I usually refer to Edward Tufte as the Steve Jobs of data visualization. We also got Stephen Few, who I'd refer to as the Bill Gates of data visualization. And many, many millennia ago, they came up with the ideas of how to make data impactful and meaningful. And that started our field, our industry. And that's not to say that other people didn't create graphics of the French army going across the Russian tundra before Edward Tufte found it. It's simply to state that these were some of the first people who put these ideas that there could be more that we do with data. If I can get the next slide. Next slide. Yep. There we go. Second generation. I would squarely put myself in the second generation. What I mean by the second generation is these are people who kind of have stumbled into information visualization. We started as financial analysts or web designers or programmers or journalists or a number of different things, and we have magically over the years taken on that mantle. We didn't necessarily go to school in the beginning of our career, but we found that profession. We found those ideas, and what we see now is a splintering, a fracturing of these different ideas, these different subsets, where Tufte and Few were basically arguing we could do it better. These individuals and many, many more are pushing those bounds, pushing out into specializations, going into different areas, and they are making a name for themselves. To take a moment, Andy Kirk, if you have not been to Visualizing Data, you must go to Visualizing Data. It is an awesome, awesome website. I didn't mention it earlier in my introduction. I recently completed my master's degree at MICA, Maryland Institute College of Art, in their information visualization program. Thank you very much. And to take a step back one further, my prior master's degree was at the University of Maryland in their College of Information Studies, the iSchool, where my project there was focusing on the effective use of and design of information dashboards. So, back to Mr. Kirk. Nope, nope, back one slide. No, you're giving it away. Oh, it's horrible. Andy Kirk. Andy Kirk has done a great thing. His niche is that he is compiling all this knowledge and all this information and putting it in one spot that we can easily tap into. His website, I believe, won the 2015 award for the best website. Come on, Bill, back me up on this one. Yeah, sure.
Tremendously awesome.
Tremendously awesome. And he was an instructor at the MICA program. Alberto Cairo. For those of you who don't know Alberto Cairo, very, very prolific on Twitter, has done a lot of great work regarding journalism. mainly information graphics, how to tell great stories in print media. Finally, who doesn't know this guy? Mike Bostock basically created D3, created a revolution. So many people have now rushed out, bought so many books, learned JavaScript, and done a wonderful thing. Done wonderful things with it.
I'm going to interrupt right there.
Okay.
And just say that I have been kind of flirting with him to come out here and talk.
Okay.
And he's like, I'd love to, I don't know, I will pay for his plaintiff. If you guys tweet to his Twitter handle, come and talk here, he'll probably come.
So the main thing to take away from that is to monetize data visualization, you have to design your entire JavaScript library, get to know Sean, come out, do a presentation, get paid for it. Monetizing data visualization right there. Main thing is this is just a small smattering. The great thing is that this second generation, there are people all over the globe, from universities all across Europe, South America, all bringing very, very powerful knowledge to bear and printing books and giving us that ability to take their lessons learned and move into the next generation. The next generation, there are probably a few people in this room that are the next generation. These are the individuals who are lucky enough that when mom and dad are willing to pay for them to go to school, they get to choose a data visualization program right out of high school. These are some of the folks that are actually learning some of these tools and techniques in high school. I was shocked and surprised when I was going to Micah and I did a program to find out that there are books on how to read graphs and data in visualized form for grades, or the first grade through the fourth grade. We have kids learning how to read data visualization in grade school. Think of where they're going to go. I picked up something for my project in Micah. It was a Crayola crayon augmented reality set that allowed kids to create their own augmented reality action figure, pose them, and create movies for ages 6 and above. We are teaching these kids how to be the next generation of not only consumers, but creators and designers. And the main thing is that the next generation is going to push past our boundaries, because we still live in a world of print media and screen-based media. And we can expect our next generation to have industry specialization, where we start catering to very specific groups on information visualization. Educational programs teaching this at a very early on age. Complex analysis, as we start getting into millions upon billions of data points, it will revolutionize how we do data visualization. Sociological shifts as baby boomers continue to age, and as the next group of, that will come after the millennials comes in, they will change how we do data visualization. Challenging data sets, advanced research, as I said, and new technology, augmented reality, artificial reality, these are all coming, and they're coming fast. So, once again, I am in the second generation. I am trying to help be part of the next generation, and that means pushing myself, learning more, pushing my comfort zone, and moving past that. If I can get the next slide. Thank you very much. So monetizing data visualization. We are in an evolving situation. We are in an evolving scenario. So we must evolve with it, or we must stick to what we're doing and stay in our comfort zone. And so with that, improve your kung fu. The thing I generally see when I'm looking at stuff on data visualization, it is technology, technology, technology. And what I mean by that is how to code it, how to build the system, how to build the technology. In PricewaterhouseCoopers and a lot of the technology firm or management consulting firms, we have this concept, which is people, process, technology. Technology comes at the end. You start with the people you're talking to, you start with the process that they're trying to fix, and then you focus on the technology. And so what I'm trying to get at, if you can go to the next slide, courses on data and information visualization and infographics are growing everywhere, but what I think is missing is the awareness of the multifaceted nature of these disciplines, how much humanity is in them. It's something that cannot be driven by technology alone. I would posit that we have a glut of engineers and maybe not enough architects. We have a lot of people who can create really great foundational structures to do really great things, but they maybe didn't spend enough time thinking about the audience that they're trying to present to. And I'm guilty of it. A lot of people are guilty of pushing themselves and challenging themselves to do great things, but not taking the time to try to acknowledge the audience and who they're speaking to. And so with that, let me get the next slide. Andy Kirk, I mentioned him earlier. I really loved Andy Kirk because his approach was not all technology or not all design, but rather understanding that as we move forward into that next generation, we need a team. We need a team of individuals in order to deliver impactful visual designs and visualizations. We need initiators, people that serve as project leads and forms initial ideas and goals. We need communicators who collect requirements, manages client relationships. We need journalists who shape questions and track audiences' desires. We need designers who drive the artistic message and vision of the project. Cognitive scientists who understand the psychology and perception in color theory. Project managers who track team progress and control project resources. Computer programmers who develop technical solutions and automate procedures. And finally, data scientists, and not to say finally data scientists, but data scientists who handle the acquisition and manipulation of project data. I think this is very, very important. I personally, as I said earlier, my kung fu is not strong when it comes to computer programming and data science compared to some of my colleagues. I am weak compared to them. But what I bring to the team is the initiator, the communicator, and I like to think a bit of the designer and the project manager. What I mean by that is I'm the dreamer. If you can move that. No, it's all right. Nope. Quick. Nope, not that one. There we go. Back one. Back two. Perfect. The idea here is that if you work really hard, you might be able to be good at a couple of these, but there's really only a few people who can probably master all 8. And what I would say is opportunity costs. If anybody went to business school, if you got $1, you can spend $1 on something to drink or something to eat, but you can't spend $1 on something to eat and drink. We each have 24 hours in the day. We can only get good in one specific area or the other. I was at PricewaterhouseCoopers and I was given this great opportunity where somebody told me that there was a lack of people with information visualization skills. And I realized that's the way that I can succeed. But what I did see is when I looked around is there were tons of people who knew Tableau. There were people who knew D3. There's people that knew all these different things about big data and Hadoop and all these other things. But what they didn't have was somebody with the vision, somebody who could communicate, bring the people together, and drive that image. So that's where I spent my $1, is trying to perfect those skills. Because God bless the Tableau developers and designers, God bless the D3 developers and designers, I can find those. My coworkers, my bosses can find those people. It's hard for them to find some of these other skill sets. Figure out which ones you are strong at, drive that as your focus, and make sure that when you are in interviews, when you are at work, you challenge, you bring it up, you push it, you show this, you talk about this concept, and you say, this is the value I bring to your organization. This is the value I bring to you, client, is because I have the vision, I have the idea, I will come up with something new and different. I will tell you when you shouldn't use certain colors because your client is from a different country. And certain colors in other countries can denote death, can denote poverty. And that might not be how you want to design their website or their visualizations and their graphics. We all know the common one, don't use red, yellow, green on our charts and our graphics. If you don't mean stop, yield, go. It's the same idea here. So own that. Call that out, make that your specialty. We can get you to go to the next one. All right, so went to University of Maryland College of Information Studies. Spent a lot of money getting that first master's degree. I'm going to boil it all down to you in a couple of slides. So get ready. Honorary master's degree right here. Click the next. All right. Delivering meaning and value. People call it data visualization, people call it information visualization. I don't care so much when I'm out and people are talking, but when I'm talking, I use data and I use information as two different swords. I use them as two different things that I wield. Can I get you to go to the next slide? Hopefully somebody laughs at this, please. All right, good. Somebody played a collectible card game in the past. I'm so happy. Data and information. A lot of people probably have heard this before. Data, information. By the way, back in that disclaimer thing, this is a free website, free webinar, free seminar. I'm not getting paid, so please, Paramount, leave me alone. Data begets information, which begets knowledge, which begets wisdom. We transform data into information. Through the exposure to information, we gain knowledge, and through continual exposure to knowledge, we gain wisdom. That is something I feel lacks a lot of times when data visualizations are discussed. Now, for those of you, I won't ask show of hands or anything like that, for those of you who want to know how to magically transform data into information, we will go through it in 3 easy steps. Good. All right. Data. In case you all didn't know, this is data. String of numbers, digits, don't know it. Nobody, people, we can kind of guess what it is, but we don't know. This is data in its raw form. Can I get your click next? We add meaning to data as data visualization experts. Can somebody tell me what this is? Phone number. Phone number. We all know it's a phone number, right? This is great. We got a new phone number, but who cares? Everybody has a phone here. Everybody's phone has 150 phone numbers on it. What's one more? You don't care. You don't want it. So it's still not information. Can I get you to click the next slide? That's information right there. 3 easy steps. We just transform data into information by adding meaning and value. Now, the interesting thing about this, would everyone agree that this is information? Okay. Is this information for an Aborigine in Australian outback? Why isn't it information for them? They don't care. Not relevant. I sit in meetings all day long where they talk about data and it is irrelevant to me and it goes over my head and I don't listen because I don't have the meaning of what they're talking about and I don't have the value until they start talking about the colors that they're going to use and the shapes that they're going to use to design it and the story that they're going to tell, and then I perk up. And so this then is the challenge I give to all of you, is ask yourself, are you making data visualizations or are you making information visualizations? Because every visualization is a data visualization to someone, but only an information visualization to a few or a targeted audience. In my opinion, all data visualization is data art in some form or fashion, but to the person that it is informative, it is a gold mine. So I can get the next slide. So deliver meaning and value to your data. The #1 problem I see is your bosses will come to you and they will drop a data set in your lap and they won't tell you who the audience is. They won't tell you who it's for, what it's for, the message they're trying to get across. They just say, visualize it. Spruce it up. And that's the point in the monetization of your skills. You need to say, whoa, stop. Are we talking to millennials here, or are we talking to baby boomers? Are we talking to people who are high income bracket, low income bracket? Are we talking to people with a 9th grade reading education, or are we talking to people who are PhDs? Are we talking to executives, or are we talking to analysts? Because each one of those changes the value and the meaning that you will assign to the data. And your bosses and your superiors and your managers, until you tell them this secret, aren't going to know that this secret is there. So it's your job to communicate that message to them. Next. Effectively manage resources. So I work in management consulting. We got a lot of really smart people. They come out of college. They're really smart where they were. They come in, they want to do great work, and they, heck or high water, are going to work 25 hours a day to build the best thing to impress all of us. And I tell them that's really great, but I just needed a simple Excel spreadsheet. And so what happens is they do not effectively manage resources because they want to impress, and they think more effort, more time, more color, more graphics, more things on the page, that's impressive. Can I get you to click the next one? The client comes and asks for egg on toast. Now, a lot of times some data visualization people just deliver egg on toast. That's what they asked for. That's what I'm going to deliver you. You said you wanted a dashboard. Here's a dashboard. You wanted an exploding 3D pie chart. God forbid. Here's your exploding 3D pie chart. Putting it out there for you. Main idea, meets the outlined requirements, but the results can be less inspiring for consumers. They're the ones who went to school for whatever they went to school for. They're the ones who got experience doing whatever they got experience on. Our job is doing the design of the visualization of the graphics. I challenge you to deliver a little bit more than what you're asked to deliver. Show them what you can do. The problem is I tell people, show me what you can do. Next slide. I get egg on toast with some guacamole and a portobello mushroom and a basil leaf and some feta and a bunch of other stuff, and it looks fancy. I'll pay $20 for that at restaurant for brunch. Don't really know what I'm eating here. Took $18 of material to put it together, but boy is the client surprised, and boy is the client happy, and boy, we just did $200 of work and sold it to the client for $150. Think about your time as being extremely valuable. I don't know about you, I don't like giving my time up to anybody. I am lazy. The only thing I did is I took this presentation from PowerPoint and put it in Prezi. Because this is some of the same stuff I've been trying to tell people for a while. Bill can even attest to it. Bill and I went to school at Micah. He's seen some of these slides. You're going to see the visualizations I did later. They're in there. The main idea is I care about all of you. I love you all. But I've got work. I've got jobs. I got to make money other places as well. And if this is the first time you've heard the story, I can pull that off here. So don't kill yourself doing dense and complex. Can I get you to do the next slide? Stylish and simple. Everybody can see the toast. Everybody can see the egg. Got a couple of shrimp. I know, shrimp and egg on toast. Everybody keeps saying it. Creative Commons, trying to find free pictures for this type of stuff. Only can do so much. A couple little things of egg, a little bit of green stuff and cracked pepper. That's pretty tasty looking. This idea came to me from watching Gordon Ramsay. Before doing Kitchen Nightmares in the United States, which is all focused on the drama of the kitchen, he did Kitchen Nightmares back in the UK, where he actually tried to tell people how to run a good business, a good restaurant. I don't know if you saw this, it's a great episode on Netflix. He went to this gentleman's kitchen and he says, I want you to make me broccoli soup. He says, you can use everything here on the table. Make me the best bowl of broccoli soup you possibly can. The guy put in heavy cream, the guy put in cheese, the guy put in broccoli, the guy put in all sorts of stuff. Served it to Gordon Ramsay, and Gordon Ramsay said, you know what, that's a really good bowl of soup. He said, you'll probably sell that for $5 in the restaurant. Do you want to see how I make broccoli soup? Yeah, Gordon, show me. Pot of water, head of broccoli, salt. Boiled that, pureed it up, dumped it into a bowl. You'll sell your bowl for $5, I'll sell mine for $5. Yours costs $3 to make, mine costs 50 cents. That's how you monetize this work. Try to get the maximum product out for the minimal amount of effort. I recycle and cannibalize as much as I possibly can. And when I have to build something new, I try to put a lot of effort into building it well. So I can use it again and again and again, as long as the person hasn't paid me exclusively for the content that I've done. Next slide. Next. Impress the audience. Due to the nature of the work I do at PwC, a lot of the stuff I do, I can't obviously come down and share because, you know, companies, when they get their networks penetrated and is hacked and hacked and all these wonderful things, they generally don't like to make that information public. Imagine that. Millions of dollars embezzled, they don't like to make that stuff public. But I got a couple of examples I wanted to show because it's data visualization and we got to show pictures and examples. Main thing is impress the audience. Now, when I'm saying impress the audience, there's a couple of different ways that you can approach this. If I can get you to go to the next slide. You monetize data visualization by, one, using your skills to build a solution, then actively find your audience. Go hunting. If you built the best dashboard in the world, go find somebody who finds that to be information. Understand your audience, then develop the skills that they require. Take the time to sit down. Don't just jump into the project. Listen to what your audience is looking for. Find out what they need, and then go build that for them. The problem when all you do is rely on the tools and the technologies you know is everything starts to become a nail, and you have a hammer. And sometimes you need a screwdriver, and sometimes you need a wrench. And once again, you need to push yourself out of your boundaries of comfort because that's how you learn and grow and adapt and move into those new positions and those new opportunities so that when you do go show your portfolio, it's not a stack of hammers, but it's a full toolbox. As I told you before, I do not consider myself a highly technical coder, programmer, and all these other things, but I still pushed myself so I can call BS when somebody tells me it's not possible. So I can say, yeah, you know, D3 is really nice, but did you also know there is PyCharts, JavaScript, and all these other libraries out there freely available? And did you realize Tableau isn't the only dashboarding tool? In case you all didn't know, Microsoft Power BI just released all of their stuff in a free release, I think earlier this week or next week. A lot of the stuff that Tableau is charging for, Microsoft is now opening up for free for people with Excel. And I tell you what, I had a client one time, not gonna mention who told me that I had to help them set up SQL Server and a Tableau license so they could visualize and analyze their 3,000 record database. Now, I could have been a good soldier and sold that, made the profit, hey, big win. Instead, I said, you are killing a fly with a bazooka. And trust me, anybody who takes that job to be your database administrator and your visual, designer is messing you over because they know how easy they got it. And so, there's nothing wrong with being truthful and honest to your clients. They will appreciate that. They will value you for that. Educate your audience to the value and potential of your skills. We are pushing the boundaries on some pretty wicked, crazy visualizations and graphics, and our clients still want pie charts. It is up to you to educate them. Why 3D exploding pie charts are a bad thing. Why stoplights were great back in the 90s and not so much now. We can do so much more that people don't realize it. You need to educate them. You need to show them the art of the possible. You need to give them the egg so they can bring you the chicken. And what I mean by that is plant the seed in their head and let it sit. And check back in with them later, and you will go, you know that thing you sent me, that thing you showed me, I have a great idea. And they'll pass it on to somebody else, and the next thing, stuff happens. So I got 3 examples of this. If I can get you to click. I know it's messy. Remember, it's data for you, it was information for somebody else. Anybody want to take a guess what I built this in? Very good. Who knew that you could do this in Excel? A couple of people. Excel's got some legs. Now, granted, it damn near killed my laptop processing this much data on it, but I did it. It worked in a pinch. Chicago heat, crime heat map. In case you guys didn't know, Chicago does a really great job posting up all their crime data online. You can download, you got tons of data you can play with. This was a situation where I did this. I did this as a project for school. Let me walk you through the visualization a little bit, visual storytelling style. January 1st, working way to December 31st, 2014. Starting at just past midnight, working to midnight. Size of the red dots represents how many reported assaults occurred. Color that you see, the yellow and the blue, sunrise, sunset. The idea was, is there something here? Is there a trend? Is there something that I can see in this mess of data? All I know is people are getting drunk around 3 p.m., come out of the bars around 5 p.m., and in between that time, they don't fight nearly as much. Or the cops are drinking at that time, and they don't arrest nearly as much. We also see from about 2 to 4 a.m., there's a lull, and I don't know, I just kind of like looking at it. I think it's an interesting piece. I kind of like it. I didn't really have a goal for it. I was just challenging myself. This was for our statistics and analysis class. And I did this, and oh yeah, little spark line at the bottom, temperature, showing high and low, the temperatures. Lo and behold, I was just showing this to one of my coworkers. He goes, I'm going up to talk to Chicago City Council. Can I take this? By all means, please do. I created the visualization that I wanted to create, that I wanted to challenge myself, that I wanted to prove to people you can do some pretty insane visualizations and graphics in Excel. And it went up to Chicago and went for the city council. Now, we didn't win the work, but I tell you what, it definitely augmented the story that he was telling those people. It helped because he had a picture. He had an ability to demonstrate that we have people that do big things and have big thoughts and big ideas. And we're not just going to draw up a 400-page PDF on your desk about what our analysts came to. Because let's face it, management consultants are great chefs who don't know how to plate their own food. And I say that lovingly. Because they make great coq au vin and then they put it on a paper plate with plastic utensils and then they expect everyone to love it. And if you just a little bit of parsley, some nice china, linen napkin, my work is done. Minimal effort, high reward. Get all the credit. Find your audience. Do your passion. Do your visualizations. Put them out there. Twitter, LinkedIn, pop them up. Show them around. This may not be the thing that they want, but this will inspire them to come to you and ask for something simple. As I was talking to somebody earlier today, I was saying, spark lines, everybody knows spark lines? Yeah. I'm just going to throw it out there. 20 years ago, spark lines didn't exist. Just saying 20 years ago. Bullet charts, we all know bullet charts. 15 years ago, bullet charts didn't exist. Tree maps didn't exist until somebody created them. We have the power to create new frontiers and new graphics and new visuals, and then we get to name them like we are finding and discovering new mountains. And so I challenge you all to think that way. Don't follow the folly of exploding 3D pie charts. You have the power and the capability. Even if you don't have the technology to build it, sketch it, design it, dream it, be the imaginator, and then go find somebody here tonight to build it for you. Team up, network. Can I get the next slide? Now this one isn't mine, just to start off. I walked into an office and my coworker said, Shay, come here. This is great. Look at the visualization that we did that we're gonna go present to our client. We are gonna so nail this thing. Oh yeah, we're so impressed, so happy. Great chef, bad plating. This basically is a map, just so you know, it's detailing the complex network of a Bitcoin money laundering map. Really quick, drugs sent to Africa, up to Europe, money is exchanged, turned into Bitcoin, comes around, fictional sales into the United States, money transfers back into US dollars, back to the criminal agent, where the whole process starts all over again. It's pretty cool stuff. It's a pretty great story. It just needs a little bit of pizzazz. Gonna get you a click. Let me see if I can. Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Edge Animate, and hours of my life I will never get back. But the good news is I know how to do it now. I know how to make an animation. Best part about this, just so you guys know, I can barely spell web. I was so happy because when I did this in Edge Animate and I sent it to one of my classmates and had him upload it, and he said it's all good, and I checked it out on my phone, oh my God, it played on my smartphone. Do you know how awesome it is that I get to go talk to my boss and say, hey, look what I did for you. And I pull it up on my smartphone at a bar when they're having a couple of drinks and we're talking about what I can do to help them tell their story. We have a group of people going to an anti-money laundering conference. This is the cornerstone of their presentation. What I did. They did all the work. I just brought the crayons. I didn't know Edge Animate before. I didn't know Adobe Illustrator. My skills were still kind of weak, but I pushed myself and I challenged myself, and you can do great work. And what happens then is they can tell this great detailed story, showing how complex everything is, how everything steps through, and in the end, leave the client in awe of how complex these networks are. It's not one guy just sending money via Western Union to somebody else. This is a highly detailed organization. And amazingly, in this organization, when you mess up, you don't get promoted. You just kind of slip away. So they're highly efficient. They're really good at what they do. And we got to be just as good, and if not better. And then the hard part about all this, we got to explain this then, we have to explain this then potentially to a jury. This is a highly complex idea, and at least now we can potentially step through it step by step and explain how this whole process unfolds. Develop your skills. Tell the story you need to. Can I get the next slide? Oh, Australia's there.
Yeah, it's there.
Because everyone in Australia is great. No problems with Australians. To set this one up, this next one up. Go back. No, back. Set this one up before I launch it. I had this idea what I was going to do for my capstone, for my MICA degree, and it was around this idea. I was going to come up with like a dozen new micro charts and graphics, a la Sparklines, and I was going to create those, and I was going to craft those, and I now realize that no one probably would have cared. Just being honest. You know what? I'm not Alberto Cairo. I'm not, Andy Kirk. So I might have gotten a little press, but not much. And I was at a conference, and somebody was playing with a Google Project Tango. Anybody heard of Project Tango yet? Google it later. Great. That led me to this idea of augmented reality and virtual reality. And I thought to myself, wouldn't that be interesting to see how you start exploring business intelligence, visualizations, and graphics in a virtual environment? Does everybody know augmented reality? At least nod, okay? Let me play this really quick. So I did this on a Google Tango. What you're looking at is the 2007 US Senate. Democrats in blue, Republicans in red. It's the relationship between the Democrats and the Republicans based off of their agreement with one another. If they voted in agreement 67% of the time or more, there's a connection between the two of them. What you're not seeing is I'm recording what's on the screen, but I'm actually have a touch sensitive so I can move that social network analysis diagram around. I'm making a social network analysis that has traditionally been done in 2 dimensions into 3 dimensions. It's all tied to this little paper target here. So you can throw that onto the conference room table and let's start talking about this network that you want us to look at. And everybody can look at it from different angles. Zoom in, you push in closer. Zoom out, you pull out. Move around. Interface. All the components for this going into my grad school project, I did not know. I learned it on the fly. Learned how to code it, learned how to build it, did mobile design, application. It was many, many nights and weekends. Didn't see my wife much, drank a lot of coffee, woke up at 4 a.m., went to bed at midnight, but I pushed it because in the end, I now got the video. I got the egg. And I can show it to people that I work with and make it their responsibility to bring me the chicken. So I can reap the rewards of that time invested, that dollar I spent learning this, rather than watching Daredevil or doing another Netflix marathon of some other type. I challenge you all to push yourself. Think big, think bold. Nobody else is going to build this stuff except for us. And we all have that power and that ability to go there. I just think it's really cool. I find it fascinating that this is a future of how we can do dashboards and visualizations. I'm sure there's other people out here who can do much better than this. Realize once again, I was a design team of one and I tried my best. But you know what? Hopefully I can find some other people that want to come and do great things like this with me. And then we got that killer team. Wonder Twin powers activate and all that. Thank God there's a couple of people who understood what that meant. I was talking to in case you guys don't know, I joined PricewaterhouseCoopers. I was kind of in my late 30s, walked into a room one day. I said, so I just talked to the Wonder Twins. And I'm talking to my coworkers and I said, you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, do you? They were like, oh, we thought you made that up. Like, no, I am old. I did. Made that one up. In order to monetize and get that, make a career for yourself, it's not all about learning one tool, one technology, one dashboarding tool, one data trick, Python, or anything else. If you want to move data visualization from a bullet point on your resume to your job title, push, throw elbows, challenge people, educate, improve your kung fu, deliver meaning and value in your data, turn it into information, and call BS on other people who haven't. You win work by pointing, poking holes in the deficiencies of others sometimes. It's mean, but that's how you win work. Effectively manage your resources. Ask yourself, have I put too much time into this? Am I going to reap the rewards? If I did $300 worth of work and I'm only going to sell it for $100, where am I going to recruit the other 200 and then make more? Make your stuff modular enough that you can recycle it, that you can learn from it, that you can build it other places, that you can do great things. Impress the audience. Take the time to know who you're talking to and put yourself in their shoes. Understand the people that you are speaking to and what they really want. And when they say, just surprise me, say no. Quick. Q&A in conclusion. Go ahead and click again. I thought this was a really great quote. Put it in there. Generally, we do not have enough conversations about data and visualization. There are loads of projects, conference talks, blog posts, books, very little actual dialogue about data visualization. And I think a lot of times we talk about the new tool, the new technique, the new challenge, but we don't talk about what's your passion. What is it that you're going to drive and deliver in the future? What is it that you can offer somebody else and communicate that, throw that out there so that they can come to you and you can start getting that free flow of ideas. There's this really interesting idea in social network analysis called the contagion factor. Great. The contagion factor is that jerk who comes into work sick because he's so valuable to the organization, he has to come in, and then gets everybody sick. And of course, who does he get sick first? His friends and coworkers. It then passes through the organization. Next thing, everybody's taking a sick day, finally. Good ideas are contagious. I am hoping that the 190 people that are here today have caught a good idea from me, and I would consider this a success. The idea, just like when your coworker comes in sick, you might know how they got sick because they'll say, Timmy went to preschool, came home with a cold, and I got the cold, but you don't know where Timmy got it. You don't necessarily know where I got my ideas, but the idea is I'm pushing it out to you to see what you will bring back to me. And that's how you take information and turn it into knowledge. And through that exchange of knowledge, we gain wisdom. And we all together move into that next generation of information visualization. And we all prosper. And with that, I'll open it up to questions.
As I walk around to help give the microphone to people's questions, you probably have completed your little sketches. If you've been sketching, make sure you take a picture of it, tweet it to #DataDC, and then we'll do the little voting by cheering at the end. So anybody have questions?
Yeah, we got one up here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Did you mean like a British pound? Or I don't understand that. Was that a generational thing? Yes.
So questions.
The big button. So turn screen.
I have two questions.
Yes, sir.
One is about the sandwich, which is an overkill, and
Yep.
you got to keep it simple.
Yep.
How do you know the threshold where you settle, how do you present it? And the second question is about the data that you get to work on. How do you work on the purity of the cleanliness of the data? Because the customer, if you're presenting the wrong data, the customer could be really mad at you. What a good story, how a good present you present it.
So my background was in data analysis. I was not a big data guru or anything like that. I write SQL, I speak English, louder English and SQL. Those are three things I speak. I always love it when somebody tells me, oh, you just need to focus on the design and we'll get the data the night before and you just load it in. And I usually try to explain to people, my work is 80% munging data, 20% visualizing and putting it into play. And so what I would say is don't disrespect the data. And the other part to that, when you have 1 million rows and you're visualizing it, you don't need all 256 columns. You don't need all the data. So be specific about what you need for the visualization of the graphic. Get a sample. Put a little bit of time and effort into it. And the thing then about at what point do you know that you've gone too far on the egg on toast or not enough? Intuition, experience. The other thing, it's a godsend, is find people you trust their opinion and respect them on and have them rip into your work. I hated the fact that the first time I put together my capstone project, my professor says, your user interface looks like crud. And I was like, do you realize how much time and effort I put into coding everything else? And he was like, oh, your user interface looks horrible. Ripped it apart, put it back together, presented it, and he goes, oh, that looks good. Looks like it came from the 90s. Guess what? Ripped it out a third time, pulled it back. I am so glad he challenged me because it helped me do better. But I definitely did portobello mushrooms and avocado and stuff because it's your capstone project and you gotta make it look obscene. So does that help, sir? All right, thank you.
Yeah, I'm kind of a fairly new into this, and as I watch this, I wonder how much of what you produce in the visualization is actually a function of visualizing data, like your one chart was with the heat map, versus kind of an exercise of interrogating and deducing things from data that require visualizations so that you can create that story that shows the continents and the flow and the circles? Because it seems to me that there's a lot, and I don't know this for sure, but the heat map is still a version of kind of more complex pie charting, and it's important. But it may not be for the audience, like you said, you're targeting. It may be part of your process of deducing what's going on, drawing conclusions about what's going on, so that you can put together a visualization that is meaningful and truthful and correct for whatever audience you have in front of you, to where the visualization is not directly data-driven itself at all. The analysis was, the product is, but not necessarily the connection between the visual and the data coming in that feeds the visual. I'm just curious how that plays out.
So, and that's a great point. And one of the things I didn't hit on earlier is with the Bitcoin money laundering map, there was no quantitative data involved in that entire process. It was all qualitative. That was story driven. And I got that from sitting down and talking to people and understanding their point of view, their perspective. All too often we rely too much on the data, the numbers driving the ink, and not us as humans driving that ink. And so what I would say is, be a little reckless, try something new, come up with some new way of doing something and putting it together. You don't know who it's going to sync with. Once again, Bill and I had a great opportunity. We had a great teacher at MICA who was the graphic designer for the Presidential Daily Brief at the Central Intelligence Agency. That's a cool job. I imagine that they come up to that guy at the end of the day when he wants to go home and give him a whole horrible amount of stuff that he has to turn into a story, some quantitative, some qualitative, all over the place, and he's got to put it up and together for the man. And so that's the question is, do you want those types of positions, or do you want to work on Wall Street and do a financial transaction dashboard where you have transactions flying by very quickly and make that impactful? Because you can make a career either way. But I love kind of playing all over the field. Hopefully that helped answer the question.
We got one back here. What's the answer? My name is Chris Thompson. Firstly, I want to thank you for your career trajectory. I had my first data article published probably before most of the people in this room were born. And I thank you so much for letting us know that the trajectory of a visualization scientist is never linear. And it is richer because of that, not poorer. Anyway, my question is, I work for nonprofit, which is why I'm dressed down even more than the IT guys in the room. We have no money, we have no technical skills, we have no IT infrastructure, and we have a board of do-gooders who do not think analytically. Where do I start, and what direction do I go in?
And I'm sorry, it's Chris. Chris, thank you very much. To step back 1 second. Every time, there's a great Chinese proverb I heard that was the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is today. So the best time to be a data visualization professional is 20 years ago, but we can start today. Now back to your question, TED Talks. Oh, people love TED Talks. You gotta get the right ones, you gotta queue them up, you gotta put it in front of people and get them to realize what you can do with a little bit of brain power. How do you make toast? Has anybody seen that one? Google it later. How do you make toast? TED Talk. Talks about how do you put down the process pictorially, not using words, not using data, numbers, and you will get your group together and you will get them to see the value in approaching some of these problems and issues. And what I will say is, in my experience, I have found that by speaking the truth, people love hearing something that rings true, that nobody has told them before. And it just makes perfect sense. So what I would say is, if it makes perfect sense to you, show it to them, explain it to them, infect them with it,
where you're really just playing around with what kind of visualization will match what kind of data, and it's very much an exploration. It's the kind of exploration that geeks like us like to play around with. And then we talk about exploratory, where you've figured out that question, but then, as you suggested, we're analysts. We're trying to understand the data, but it's not really to tell a story. It's more just to figure out what is the data telling us, as you were trying to do with the Chicago data. And then we've talked about explanatory visualizations, where you do end up starting to do storytelling. And even, I think someone suggested at a prior event that there might even be a fourth of engagement-oriented visualizations, where you're looking to use the visualizations to pull in different kind of stakeholders and communities to talk about data, to talk about issues. And the purpose of the visualization is really to raise a question. And I think that distinction has been useful to me in my own work, and I've even written a little about it on my own website. And I think this group has been helpful in forming those distinctions. The other request I would make to you is, in characterizing the first generation, I would beg you to add the French thinker Jacques Bertin to your list. He predates Tufte, and I would say that Tufte draws a lot from what Tufte does, from my perspective, is popularized for America what Bertin figured out 50 years earlier and formalized, and then has now thankfully been translated and republished in English.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And I remember the first time I came across Tufte, and one of the main reasons I use it is it's such a familiar reference. Everybody's familiar with them. Even my coworkers who know nothing about information visualization have been to a Tufte seminar at some point. So, but great point. Thank you very much, sir.
Other questions? Okay, let's give Shay a round of applause. But the night is not quite over. Did people tweet? Did people send out the images? We'll do this real quick. Casey, where are you? So just in case the wrong size gets pulled up, we will, or somebody doesn't want a large, we'll get a medium or a small or an extra large or whatever they would like. So that's an opportune time to get a call. Yeah. Well, we'll find out based on whoever wins. Okay. So we do have a couple. Okay. So yeah, we do have a couple here. Okay. So I think this is just some sort of like, yeah, well, let's make sure we view them all, right? Not just the top ones. Okay. So this is a new format. So the way we're going to do this, it looks, so can everybody see that? Is that big enough? Who made this one? Can you give her a microphone, please? Go ahead and introduce yourself and do your best to describe.
Okay, my name is Marie Pierce. I work at PwC. My director actually posted this for me.
I'm not sure the microphone's working. You do? Okay.
Okay, so.
Make sure you hold it close here.
Okay, I'm Marie. I work at PwC. I don't have Twitter, so my director posted this for me. So I took a peek. So this is just like, I don't know, an abstract diagram of a D from data visualization and just some key things that Shay shared that I liked.
You want to, so I see you have data meaning there, next gen, data visual information visualization.
Yeah, so when Shay was talking about the value and meaning, really making information for your audience, I'm a web designer, so that applies a lot to me with our different users and our different teams that we represent and the different needs the different teams had. So one team data and their meaning is different than another team, so it just stuck out to me.
Cool, nice. All right, so we'll go through them all and then we'll review them quickly and see who we clap for the most. Who made this one? 3 people made it. Oh no, they're all pointing towards one person.
Okay, my name is Erin Kellett.
Go ahead and stand up.
My name is Erin Kellett. I drew an exploding pie chart with some of the main themes from the talk, including know your data biz hat, learn your audience, plant the seed, and then the last theme was don't do exploding pie charts even if your client asks for them.
Great, she did an exploding pie chart on how not to do exploding pie charts. That's kind of meta. And then we've got this third one. Whose is this? Go ahead, stand up. So what's your name?
Hi, my name is Crystal. I am a designer and product manager at Fiscal. I did like kind of a sketch note style summary of the points of the talk. So starting with how the field of data visualization has changed over time, progressing into the part on delivering meaning and value for like the differentiation between data and information. I really liked the food analogy, so I put in a few drawings of soup and toast, on toast. Coming from a UX background, the point on people, process, tech spoke to me, so I included that as well. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just tried to include a little bit of everything that really stuck out to me.
Very cool. Okay, and am I missing anybody? Because that's the only, there's 3 that Twitter came up with. So anybody else submit one that somehow I'm not getting? No, okay, great. So we're gonna start from the beginning again. Let's just have a round of applause for who thinks this one should win. Okay. And who thinks this one should win? Okay, the exploding pie chart on how not to do exploding pie charts is right now in first place. And who thinks this one should win? I think that says it all. She's definitely the winner, and I think you go tell Casey which size shirt you want, because I think a large is too big for me. But a round of applause. And that's it. We've got some beer. We can stay and hang out for a few minutes. I think there's a cutoff at 9 o'clock. 10-2. 10-2. So because then security, and then they have to pay security, and it's a big fiasco. They get angry at me. Very bodies. So, but thank you all for coming and have a wonderful night.
Hi, I'm Bill. Hi, I'm Dave. No worries. Nice to meet you too. See you next time. Yeah, hope to see you. Take care.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't catch your name.
Antonio.
Okay.
Yeah.